Everything you learned in history class was a lie. Well, maybe not everything, but they skipped the best parts. Introducing Stupiracy, where stupidity meets conspiracy. Ever heard of the Olympic marathon that nearly killed its runners? Or the time a pope put another pope's corpse on trial? Join me, Scott Rizzuto, and Tim McKernan as we uncover the most outrageous historical moments and mind-blowing conspiracies you won't believe actually happened. Tune into Stupiracy for your weekly dose of historical absurdity. Available wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, history is dumb, but laughing at it is smart.
And now, live from the TCL broadcast studios, it's Joe Souchere and Patrick Royce with Sports Talk.
Another quiet press box for you.
This was a day off.
Yeah.
The Twins were not at the ballpark. The minor leaguers were over there. I got here about 2 in the afternoon, and the only guy I saw was 89-year-old George Toma down there edging the grass on the along the baseline at third base, and apparently he'd already done it at first base and around the plate, and George was out here. And now George's crew, which has to work for long hours for them. They're out here doctoring the field, but they're the only ones around. So.
It's a nice field.
Ooh, it is a nice field. It is a nice field. Okay, I got a question for you.
Okay.
The Vikings have now moved into the new facility out in Eagan.
Right.
And they sent out a picture today, a photo today, of Bud in his new office. And guess what he has?
A window.
A picture window. It is an enormously large window.
Yep.
Just in case. Now, back in the day, he used to have to monitor the deer as they hung out at Winter Park. I don't know. This is a area that's very large. We might get an animal or two to wander around so he can observe them outside the big window. But
now, did you study the picture, Patrick? Because if you saw a picture of it, is in the corner, is it a bunch of old boxes that say Bud's garage sale boxes? It's full of toys or paraphernalia or cleats. Or
I think when they emptied out Winter Park, half the trucks went to Eagan, half of them went to Bud's with stuff that can be sold at the next garage sale.
It was Bud who said, everybody needs a place to go.
Yes, they do. I'm sure it does bother him, however, because it was about a 4-minute trip from his house to Winter Park, and now this is a good half hour for him, and we probably won't see him out there quite as often as was the case.
And what role are we supposed to pretend he has?
He's a consultant. When Mike Lynn brought him back to save the franchise, Mike Les Steckel went 3-13, and the Gophers had Lou Holtz, and it looked like they were going to take over the town, and he had to bring Bud back. Where was Bud flying in from that they had the press conference at the airport?
Probably some hunting trip. I don't know.
Remember that, though? You were there.
Yeah.
You were there when they brought him back. And it was at the airport, a room at the airport, and where they made the announcement that Mike was trying to keep it a secret, but everybody kind of got a hint as to what he was doing.
Kind of like the Community Protection Act. He tried to keep that a secret as well.
He was bringing Bud back, and when he got him, okay, then we sat down to the details of the contract, and the contract included the right after one season to become a consultant for life. I believe it's for life, with an office with a window.
Yep.
And that's the famous story. I think it was Hedrick, but it might have been one of the other guys. They said, well, Bud, we're going to have to move your office to and they showed him this little interior place at Winter Park.
Kind of like where you are, Joe, here.
Yeah.
Bud went home, rummaged through the paperwork, and brought back the contract that said office with a window. He never missed a trick. They talk about guys who never miss a trick. Bud never missed a trick.
Nope.
Still hasn't missed a trick.
See, I didn't know Bill Goldsworthy's son, Sean, was the Minnetonka coach.
I guess I didn't either till
Yeah.
I read about it today.
Yeah.
Well, good for him. And they built a powerhouse there. They've never won it.
No.
They've been there a few times, but they have not been. They've been traditionally good, but they haven't been a real, like the Lake Conference team that everybody feared or anything. Edina must be pretty good, though, huh? Oof. As Jimmy Robertson used to always call it, Edina. To be humorous. What was it? 7-1 final.
I didn't get
7-1. Yes,
7-1.
7-1.
Minnetonka comes into the tournament on a 10-game winning streak,
Well,
and they play my Hill Murrays.
And your Hill Murrays have lost 10 games. It's a very mediocre record by Hill Murray.
Mediocre
standards.
record, but you know what? A real seasoned perform. I mean, they've had heartbreak during the year. That'll be good for them.
Oh, okay.
They're not
All right.
riding some long
Well,
winning streak.
yeah. Plus, it's hockey. 3-2.
Are you trying to create an underdog? Is that what you're trying to
Well,
create?
they are
They're
the
an
underdog.
They are a
the
big
underdog.
Well, Minnetonka's the 1 seed. That means the Hill Murray's basically the 8 seed.
Right.
So
What's St. Thomas's seeding? They're playing
they're,
Centennial.
I think they're 4. I think they're 4, and
And
Centennial's
Centennial
5.
be 5. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Now I don't know if they seed them all the way down to 8. They used to only seed 5, and then they'd let the other 3 let the lots take care of those. I don't know what they do, but did the view of the arena look rather full today? Did they have their usual full house for the Thursday afternoon games?
I didn't see the upper bowl, but the lower bowl was filled. Of course, the student sections were completely full, but it looked like they had a good crowd.
Duluth East was jumping on St. Michael Albertville early, huh? 2-0. That's
What is that score, Rook? Is that game over?
That is 5-0. Duluth East is up on St. Michael Albertville with 2 minutes left in the second period.
And second period.
And we did get an email, Joe, that asked, did the mayor really ask if St. Albert Michaelville was a thing?
Well, it's a concept.
It's two concepts.
Yeah.
It's two communities very close together, both growing like crazy, and yeah, they have been merged forever. As a high school. I don't even know if Albertville ever had its own high school.
Rookie and I have been monitoring the introductions. I think the flow is down a bit this year. There's not as much flow.
I saw, but as was pointed out yesterday, a lot more facial hair. A lot of guys growing the playoff beard.
And there is one guy from Duluth East. He's a ginge, and he's got the flowing red locks, and he provided us with a little wink. So
Okay.
you know he's gonna.
I like the
he
wink.
basically made the hockey hair list.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, he gave us a little love.
I kind of agree with somebody I read though. Has that joke now not run its course? Hockey hair.
I have
Has
yet to
it-
see an introduction of a
I
team.
mean, we've
I
gone
still
6
look-
or 7 years, but I mean, the newspapers running the photos and naming the all hockey hair.
But because
team.
it only happens once a year, it's okay, don't you think?
Yeah, I suppose it gets hits. That's all that counts. You know,
It's
it gets
not
hits.
always super exciting. Some years are up and down, but I look forward to it every year. And every time there's an introduction, I say to myself, "Will this guy? Does he have what it takes to make the team?" So I play that game in my head.
Hey Joe, did you see the piece that came out today on the hedge fund that owned a piece of your newspaper chain that has been plundering newspaper millions for their own devices of risky investments?
No, I did not see it.
Yeah, it's out there. It just came out.
Digital
about an
First
hour.
Media?
Well, but it wasn't. It was some outfit that owns like 25% of it has been taking dollars and stealing the dollars from the newspapers and investing in crazy ventures. So.
You know what the euphemism is? We've been harvested.
Harvested.
Yeah.
Okay,
we're
that's
harvested
what we
down
say. to
we're about the fields bare.
Well, yeah, that's a good word for it. We're harvested. We got a lot of words like that seem much more inoffensive than they actually are. So.
Eldrick got within 2 of the lead in Tampa.
Yes.
Then he just bogeyed. He's now back to 3 of the lead.
It must now. It's cool down here, and I mean it sincerely. Today it's like 66 or 7, and there's a brisk breeze. So I would imagine up north where they're playing, it's even cooler and windier because the scores aren't really 4 unders leading. Nobody's ripping it up there. I bet it's the wind.
He's wearing a sweater, if that tells you anything.
Yeah. Well, it's in the 60s down here. So.
Yeah. Well, he just flew the green on a par 3. He's just so inconsistent, but he's hanging in there, I guess.
Yeah.
He still knows how to scramble, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. He could always make 3 on a par 3 when you didn't think he was going to. So,
Rook, why don't you take us to break, and we'll return shortly. Finally play again, and they got Derrick Rose.
And I said today on Twitter, Putin is threatening world annihilation, and the Tibbs signed Derrick Rose, and the Timberwolves fans are more upset about that than they are Putin threatening world annihilation. What the hell? He did play 64 games last year. This year he came and he went to Cleveland. He thought he was going to play, and then they got other guards, and he didn't play. So,
well, is he physically fit?
We have no idea. We'll find out. But he's signed for 16 games, and they need another guard. So we'll see if he can play or not. There was a couple other candidates out there, but obviously Tibbs likes his own guys.
But in his day, wasn't he one of the greats?
Oh, God, he was the MVP in 2011, and then in 2012 they were terrific again, and he blew out his knee for the first time in the playoffs, and then he's had 4 knee operations.
Reavers thinks he's got knees like Reavers.
Well, we'll find out. He did play 64 games last year, played quite a bit, averaged 18 points a game. He was their starter with the New York, and I don't know if he didn't play in Cleveland this year because it was his knees, or I know he had some personal issues that he had to deal with. And his wife or his girlfriend just had a baby. So that's one reason it took him a while to sign. He just had a baby 3 days ago. And didn't he have Reavers, wasn't there a lawsuit going on this year, too? Somebody suing him about
well, there was the
sexual
sexual assault deal that was settled out of court.
Yeah.
But I think that was more than a year ago.
But I thought it was going on. I thought it was.
It might have been.
Year.
It might have been.
Still
I'm not
going
sure.
on this year. I mean, the incident was, several years ago. But this was, so.
Well, the Wolves need a body. They got it. They had two open roster spots.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's. Everybody's very worried it's going to cost Tyus minutes and everything. Well, they made a point to say he and Tyus can play together. There's minutes available because Jimmy Butler's not around, and he was playing 38.
And we have no idea when he might return.
They haven't really hinted at it.
No.
I think there's a damn good chance he doesn't play this year. I don't know.
Well, that
meniscus, so.
So their playoff chances are sinking.
Well, they would like to limp into the playoffs, but they probably they might have had an outside chance to get through the first round with him, but without him, they would have no chance. They probably have to win 8, out of their last 16, maybe 9 to make the playoffs, and they got a few. The next 4 or 5 aren't real favorable, and then they can win some games. It would be very helpful to win a home game tonight. They can't afford many home losses because the teams behind them are winning a lot of games. Although New Orleans, which has won 10 in a row, might have to play without Anthony Davis. He rolled an ankle last night, and he's one of the 2 or 3 best players in the league, and he's been leading this 10-game charge they've had. Utah's coming on strong, so that would,
Wonder what's kept Tampa from trying to have a basketball team.
I don't know.
The hockey does very well.
Hockey does extremely well. The baseball's terrible. I don't know. They just, it's never even mentioned. It's never mentioned. I mean, probably one reason being Orlando got a team, Orlando didn't get the hockey team; they got the basketball team.
I know, but think of that rivalry.
they're close enough together though that that I think they just said, okay, Orlando, you take basketball, we'll take hockey. I don't know.
Hey, Pat, I sent the article to Joe, assuming that you had already read it, but I don't know if you have the chance to read Wright Thompson's Ichiro Suzuki article. It is phenomenal.
Oh, really? So where did he? When did he?
It was
spend
posted
time with
online earlier today. I believe it's going
I'll have
to
to read
debut in the April edition of ESPN the magazine. It's very in depth, and apparently he did it mostly via text messaging when Ichiro was training over in Japan. This guy is a nutcase, Ichiro.
Yeah.
As far as working out?
Oh, it's to the T. I mean, it's
Okay,
10,
I'll write it
15.
up.
He's taking 50 swings, and then it's
Okay,
There's a
okay.
great piece. I posted to the Sports Talk page, but there's a great part in which D. Gordon, who played with him in Miami, the season is over with, and he came back to the locker room to pick up a few things. He's like, who the hell is taking cuts in the batting cage right now? The season's over with. And Ichiro is in there working out like mad, taking his axe.
Well, and it sounds like he's organized then.
Oh,
huh?
yeah.
He'd be like Carew. He'd have all the brown sweaters in one line and all the red ones.
Reminded me of another guy I know in that room over there.
Green ones.
Who did Ichiro sign with?
Mariners.
Mariners.
Going back to the Mariners, his original team, he's 45 or
44.
44.
44. Well, Reavers pointed out to me yesterday. I didn't know that one of their outfielders got hurt, so they're going to take a shot at him. Maybe he'll put some people in the stands.
That's his diet. He eats thinly sliced pieces of beef tongue.
That's
Stuff
it.
like that. Yeah, he's got one restaurant he goes to every night over in Kobe, Japan, and they give him all this weird stuff and makes him youthful, I guess.
Oh, well, good for him. He said, I know I was telling those guys yesterday, the early years here, the Japanese writers who were traveling with him couldn't stand him because he treated them like dog meat. He did not, unlike Matsui, who was with the Yankees, they all loved him because he was a great guy. But Ichiro was probably too self-involved to give a damn about it. I don't know.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Was because Wright Thompson's a heck of a writer. Was he a Wyomania member?
Yeah, a couple of years.
Okay.
We pretty much had to ban him. He changed the culture. You know how PJ's trying to change the culture? Yeah. He changed the culture.
How so?
Well, there's a bunch of old, polite sports writers who might have a beer, and pretty soon it was. We were afraid the police were going to show up.
Was he boisterous?
He's a high-strung fella. Yeah, he is. He's a fantastic writer, good guy, but he brought out the worst in many of the Wyomaniacs. That's when I started driving, Joe. That's when they started taking advantage of my sobriety. Yes.
In other words, you wouldn't want him driving.
Oh, God, no.
No.
I don't think I'd want him driving sober. He's a high-strung fella.
Hey, fellas, I got a thought. How about I get behind the
I got
wheel?
an idea.
Instead of this guy that's .26, let's let me drive.
Okay, we'll be back shortly, but now thanks to our great friends in Owatonna, Minnesota at Federated Insurance, where it's their business to protect your business, and nobody does that better than Federated. It's Bruce Vail from the Wall Street Journal and Your Money Now.
And we had a decent day in the stock market today. For the second day in a row, stocks swung between gains and losses, but today the major indexes all closed higher, with the Dow Jones Industrial Average ahead 93 points. The Nasdaq Composite rose 31 points, and the S&P 500 gained 12. Health service provider Cigna reached a deal to acquire pharmacy benefits manager Express Scripts for about $67 billion. The company said the deal will create a wider portfolio of health services with greater choice, as well as help make them more affordable for customers. There's a lot of fake news on Twitter, and it moves around a lot faster than the real thing. A new study by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology found falsehoods travel farther, faster, deeper, and more broadly than the truth in all categories of information. The study found that on Twitter, false news stories are 70% more likely to be retweeted than real ones, and it takes true stories about 6 times as long to reach 1,500 people than it takes fake news. One MIT professor said one reason why fake news is so alluring is because it's more interesting than the truth. I'm Bruce Vail with your money now on 1500 ESPN.
Yeah, the truth is boring. The truth is we're going to cut you loose and talk to you again tomorrow. We're going to check traffic here. Thank you very much. This one's sponsored by Walgreens. We'll start with westbound 494. Already bad this afternoon between 77 and Penn. The other direction of 494 also seeing building levels. If you opted for the westbound crosstown, you're all stacked and backed from 28th over to Portland. Rolling between the downtowns, westbound 94, building levels as you approach downtown, 15 minutes eastbound between, much quicker at 10. Walgreens has your trusted favorites in cosmetics, skincare, and...
Here's John Height.
Thank you, Joe. It's sunny and 31 degrees. A two-way quarterfinal state hockey tournament going on today. Edina beats Lakeville North 7-1. They've just started the third period in game number 2. In that one, Duluth East leads St. Michael Albertville 5-0.
Johnny.
Yeah.
2 yawners.
Mm-hmm.
2 yawners. 7-1 and 5-0. Come on.
Well, tonight.
Well, last night you had what? Alex beating Thief River 1-0.
Alec.
Yes.
Alec. What's their team nickname, Kenny?
Cardinals.
Yeah.
I'd like to solve the puzzle, Alex.
Right.
I'm just here to just want to try to.
I'll take Vorage for 400.
Just want to solve the puzzle there.
Tonight, Hill Murray and Minnetonka and Centennial and St. Thomas Academy.
Minnetonka's the Skippers.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hill Murray's the Pioneers. St. Thomas is the Cadets. What is Centennial, I wonder?
Aren't they the Rockets? Are they the Rockets?
I don't know.
No. They're not. Are they?
I'm thinking Century. Century's the Rockets.
I have no idea.
Whacked and stacked down the hall. The tall one went to Duluth, so she won't shut up about Duluth today. Yeah. Up
Even
and
though
down the halls, talking about Duluth. My God.
Centennial, very appropriately named the Cougars.
Oh, well, hey, they're there now. That's Lionel Lakes, baby. We got Cougars there now.
Wolves side Derek Rose.
Big cats, too.
He'll be reunited with his coach when he was in Chicago, that, of course, being Tom Thibodeau. Timberwolves in action tonight. They play the Celtics at the Target Center. No Twins action today. Day off. They'll play Tampa Bay tomorrow.
So, Derek went through the shoot-around this morning, and they talked like he might actually play a few minutes. So.
Hey, Pat, you were off the air. We were talking about the big bird that Bud has hanging in his office in this picture.
Well, I don't know what it is.
It's a turkey.
But how big was the damn thing?
But we don't see the head of it.
They cape them out like a deer hide. They cape them out, and they bring them to taxidermists.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is cape them out some rural term? You have to be from the country to know.
Kind of a shot. It's kind of a Sidiot. It's kind of a Sidiot shot. There. He's shaking his head, and that big burly beard is just going back and forth.
They stretch them out.
Well, we cape them out, man. That's what we do up in Alec. You got to cape out a turkey, man, like a deer hide.
If we had a camera in here and people could read Kenny's lips the last 20 seconds, wow.
He might kill all of us.
I'm not responding to
We'll all be caped out in his office.
I'm supporting you, Kenny. I'm supporting you.
You're the only people I know that bask in ignorance. You're so GD stupid.
I thought you were going to be
all of them. And you're proud of your
you're
stupidity.
going to be quiet. Remember? You're not going to take the bait.
You wear your badge of stupidity with pride.
Hey, Bud, did you cape it out? Did you cape out that turkey, man? Because that's what you have to do, man.
It's a common term that
sure
everybody
it is. It's very
uses.
common. I use it all the time. You got to cape it out.
Especially up in Alex. One observation about the
I know my hunting and fishing.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
One observation about the spacious wooded office for Mr. Grant. I see right next to a plug. What do you think the odds are? What percentage of chance or possibility will he be using that USB port that plugs into the wall next to the electrical socket? Do you think is that just a prop, or do you think that actually works?
Well, I suppose someday when they try to move Bud out of his office, they'll have it there for somebody else.
And the only other thing that disturbs me about looking at his office photo is I'm hoping that he doesn't have a Merce.
Oh, I see. There's a purse attached to
Is
a
that
chair
Probably
next to
just
Bud's
a
desk.
bag or something.
Okay, because he doesn't seem like the type that would have a Merce.
Bigger question, Kenny.
Unless somebody gave it to him for free.
True,
he'd take it.
true. Then he's got a Merce for the garage sale.
Bigger question, Kenny. How much would it take for you to take the old mayor to the tree stand next fall for a good old hunting session?
I wouldn't talk or anything.
Next story, John.
News notes from today. The owners of a Twin
What
Cities.
time you want to get up, Kenny? You going to keep out a deer? Wow.
The owners,
I think he's dismissed you audio.
Yes.
Audio-wise.
Just fun to see Kenny just stew.
The owners of a Twin Cities dog that was shot and killed are offering a reward for information that leads to the suspect involved.
Hope they didn't keep it out.
The dog was reported missing in December. Its body was found on Pelican Lake this week. St. Paul police said owners of the dog started getting phone calls from a man who said he had the animal. Caller said he'd return the dog for ransom money.
Really?
Police say the owners delivered the money but never got the dog back. Yesterday, our TV affiliate KSTP spoke with a Minneapolis bounty hunter involved in the investigation. Stu Peters is his name. He said, "It worries me that a person capable of doing this is in the community among people like you and I."
They put a bounty hunter on the case?
Apparently, yes.
Wouldn't at the point of exchanging the money, you want to see the dog? Isn't that how that should work?
I'd want to see the dog.
No, it's like the Lebowski. You throw the money out of the car. You throw the ringer with the whites out of the car,
underwear out the
and then you roll out of the car with your AK loaded.
Did they? If you mentioned it, I'm sorry. Did they? What was the amount disclosed, John?
They didn't say.
Oh, they didn't say.
President Trump, this afternoon, in the past hour, in fact, following through on one of his most controversial campaign promises, he signed 2 proclamations that implement tariffs on imported steel and aluminum, but exempt Canada and Mexico. President signed the tariffs in the White House's Roosevelt Room, surrounded by workers who will benefit from the moves, he says. The tariffs will take effect in 15 days. The moves will slap a 25% levy on steel, 10% charge on aluminum. White House officials say the tariffs are an essential matter of domestic and economic security.
BS.
Why is that bad?
'Cause you're going to pay more the next time you go to buy a vacuum cleaner or an ice box or a washing
Made out
machine.
of steel that
Right.
came from our shores, though. Correct? Or not?
Not necessarily.
well,
So this won't necessarily
This is a
increase.
tariff on imported steel and aluminum.
But
But
it's,
will the tariff, and I don't know, and I'm not trying to fight here, won't the tariff in turn make us use American steel more or not?
it might, but then they're going to start slapping tariffs on stuff that we try to sell to them. That's going to
Plus
hurt
the
folks.
greatest
Our
percentage.
exporters aren't going to do too
The greatest percentage of foreign steel we get is from Canada, and we're not going to tariff them. So you figure it out.
Kenny, the EU said yesterday.
I'm not being hostile. I'm
No one
asking
said
a
you were.
question.
The EU said yesterday they would start immediately raising tariffs on Harley Davidson, on there were
Bourbon,
things that we send there, so that that would hurt those companies. Obviously, raising prices in those countries for that.
I see.
The Sopranos is getting a big screen treatment. New Line Cinema developing a movie prequel, currently titled "The Many Saints of Newark."
Did they hear about what happened to the lead character, however?
Yes.
How are we going to get him?
That's why it's a prequel.
It'll be written by David Chase. Chase, of course, created The Sopranos. Some of the fan favorite characters from The Sopranos are expected to appear in the film, set in the era of the Newark riots in the 60s, when African Americans and Italians were adversaries. Considered one of the greatest television series of all time, the groundbreaking series ran from 1999 to 2007. Chase will serve as producer as well as co-writer on the film. His last feature film was the 2012 drama Not Fade Away, which actually starred James Gandolfini. According to Warner Brothers, David's a masterful storyteller, and we, along with our colleagues, are thrilled he's decided to revisit and enlarge the Soprano universe in this film.
Wonder who gets to play young Paulie. That's what I want to know. Who's got the hair? Who's got the hair to play young Paulie?
Or is it just a guy that it's the same head and hair, but it's on a smaller body?
I still want to know what happened to the Russian out in the woods. That still bothers me. What happened to the Russian out in the
Never
woods?
found out.
Nope.
I love that they were running around in the woods with their street shoes on.
Paulie had the sweatsuit on.
I'd rate it number 3, Behind the Wire, number 1, and number 2, the first season of True Detective.
Yeah,
That came out of nowhere. True Detective.
You don't even include Deadwood in there, huh? You didn't.
I'm still a Rockford Files guy.
They said the long C word too often in that. It offended me in Deadwood.
Clavicle?
I'm not a profane guy.
Yeah, no, not at all. No.
New York
I
City.
didn't say you were one. I said you were acting like one.
Classic line.
New York City is using dry ice to reduce its rat population. Daily News says the program is in effect citywide after a 2016 pilot was successful. They used the frozen carbon dioxide to kill the rats. The health department's pest control director, Ricky Simeone, says dry ice is effective but doesn't harm birds of prey. Exterminators are burying smoking dry ice in burrows and park flower beds. The rats are trapped inside, they suffocate, and they die within minutes. Some rats may escape, so an area is typically treated 3 times. Simeone says they found this has worked where there has been problems.
Johnny,
yes.
How about not putting your garbage out on the street corner at midnight out of every business and have them pick it up at 5 o'clock in the morning? That would help reduce the rat population, too.
All right.
So,
Thank you for that. That's very correct.
Kenny, I would like to brighten your mood, sir.
I'm in a fine mood.
Okay.
There's no problem.
I mean, for
You're
Kenny,
going to be even in an even better mood to realize that we are booking a Brandon Lang appearance for next week.
how do I know him?
He's the gambling guy from Vegas.
Right.
He's the gambling guy from Vegas that you.
When's Final Four? Are we going to talk Final Four?
Well, this is going to be the start of the NCAA tournament, but then we'll have him back for the Final Four.
Yeah, we got to have him back.
His guy texted me and said, "Would you take Brandon anytime, any place?" I
Hell
said,
yes.
You know, he did lose a notch of credibility, I think, the last time he was on when he called Bill Belichick overrated. That was a little much.
And Krzyzewski overrated.
Yes.
That was now I could go along with
Yeah,
that.
you agreed with that part.
Yeah.
Probably would earn him an instant spot on the show.
24/7 Wall Street, which is it's a online forum that lists certain things. They've gone through all the data from the CDC to identify the states that report the highest levels of adults who binge drink or drink heavily. So, a list of the drunkest states in the U.S. We'll start at number 6 because it is Minnesota.
Wisconsin's got to be one.
It's here. It's hang on. Minnesota ranks number 6. The number of adults drinking excessively, 21.1%. So almost a quarter.
How many of those 21% have to work with Souchere and Rookie?
3.
Yeah,
3.
it's like eating over
100%.
It's like eating over the sink. You just stand at the refrigerator and pour it in. Try to forget what was your day.
Number 5 is Illinois. Number 4 is Montana. Number 3, Alaska. And as you said, Mr. Reavers, number 2 is Wisconsin.
Wow.
They have
I thought they'd be 1.
no adults drinking excessively, 24.5%.
Wait a minute.
North Dakota?
It's got to be your state, isn't it?
It is my state.
Really?
Number 1.
What
North
distinguishes these top 6? They're all in the north.
They're all cold weather areas, every
So
single one of them.
It's drinking from boredom?
Probably.
Warmth.
Warmth, boredom, cabin fever.
Taste.
They're all GLers.
Boom, Kenny says.
And I love them.
How'd you like to be out for a walk and run into this? Residents near San Diego are being warned to be on the lookout for a 5.5-foot long monitor lizard that got out of its cage.
Where was that the San Diego Zoo?
No, Mike Estevez told KGTV the 35-pound reptile named Bubbles was
I didn't know he was in town.
Did Bubbles get out again?
was last seen on Sunday at his store, Mike's Pets.
I saw on the
Valley.
Blue Planet lizards strip a water buffalo right down to the bone.
Come on.
really?
One?
Didn't take them long.
One
either.
of these?
Couple of big suckers.
Monitor lizard.
Monitor
I
lizards.
guess.
What
Yeah.
is these animals?
Pat,
Yardies.
if you encounter one, you should bring it to the attention of your own personal friend, Randy Wayne White, and let him know, and maybe he'll remember you then.
Yes.
These are the ones with the 4-foot tongue, right?
Yeah, this guy had a big tongue.
They can do some damage with
Yeah,
that
it was
thing.
probably this same thing that escaped here because this story says they are carnivorous critters.
Oh, yeah.
And he managed to escape through a crevice at the bottom of a cage. Security camera footage shows Bubbles sauntering toward the back of the store. Estevez does say Bubbles is good around people and often roams around the store when customers are there, but he says if you run into him, you probably shouldn't try to grab him and save him for the police.
Why does he have? He's not going to sell a monitor lizard to the public. Why is the lizard there?
Sounds like it's a pet if he lets it roam around the store.
Oh, they got him down there.
Hey,
Oh, they got.
In fact,
you get 'em.
the hotel down the street from ours had the yard lizard. You know, the guy that just roams around the...
Right. We call him a yard lizard.
What is wrong with you?
Just roams around the yard.
Can I help you, ma'am?
Hoping, right. He's very optimistic. He's hoping.
A yard lizard.
You know, they call me the yard lizard.
It sounds like a good old blues song.
Well, he just
doesn't it?
lives at the
Oh my
hotel.
God.
You know, they
Sure
feed
he
him and he
does.
just hangs
Right.
out.
Get you a towel or anything else? Wink, wink.
It took an odd turn I didn't expect. An officer of the British
What is a
Trail.
yard lizard?
Okay.
We'll show you off the air, pal.
I heard you in a previous life, Joe, weren't you a lot lizard at one point or another?
No.
Oh, okay.
You ever wash your hands with dishwashing soap?
Doesn't work.
What I love that. It's a
Really?
great smell.
Palm olive?
Yeah.
What are you, Marge? You're soaking in it.
No, I didn't
Dishwashing
soak
liquid? No, it's palm olive.
because we're out of the other stuff. I had read that flu story and I freaked out.
There are stores, Joe. You can stop them. You can get yourself some hand soap.
Yeah.
An
You're
off-
an odd duck, Mr.
Good Lord.
Hey, how come they
You ever
still
wear
have
cotton T-shirts? What the hell? Just out of nowhere.
How come they still have flu shots available at the drugstores? Isn't that come and gone here? It's too late.
No, we
now.
still got it.
They're still out
Oh,
there.
you can get it.
You can get it. Yeah.
You guys are idiots. Oh, my God.
You talking to all of us?
Yeah, every single one.
One or two of us.
Half the listeners.
If only if I would have read Field and Stream, I would have known what Cape Out means.
It's the only term for it. There's no other term
What does
for
it even mean?
It means remove the cape.
So it's
What
you know,
cape?
well, like a think of a bear rug, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what you mean, Kenny?
The fur,
Yeah.
the feathers.
Turkeys don't have fur.
No, but they have feathers attached to skin,
Yeah.
and they take it off.
Oh, this has been my favorite segment ever.
Kenny's gonna
God.
absolutely kill somebody.
Holy
here.
cow. You went to school, right? Were you barefoot in one room and feeding coal into the fire and
Middle of the city.
crapping in the outhouse? How dumb can one man be? Jeez, he's on a major market radio station,
What
50,000
difference
watt
does it make?
flamethrower. He's on the wall in the GD Museum.
Yeah.
You use dish soap on your hands?
You ever wash your hands with dish soap?
Well, it
I got a
smells
question for you. Why don't they just drive around that Berlin Wall?
That was one of his finest.
Right there, Royce. Home run.
They just drive around.
Oh, yeah. An officer of the
And to
British.
think I defend you to listeners. People come up to me, he's not really that dumb, is he? And, oh, no, he's dumb like a fox. He knows what he's doing.
An officer of the British Transport Police accidentally
You're
handed.
hurting my feelings, Kenny.
I'm sorry, Joe. It's all for the radio.
I know it is.
It's all a bit.
I just came from a rummage sale, Mag.
I was wondering where you got these hands.
Oh, it's dishwashing. What'll I try?
Everything. And use palm olive dishwashing liquid. It softens your hands while you do the dishes. You're soaking in it.
In dishwashing liquid?
It's palm olive.
Mild?
Well, more than mild. Makes loads of suds
All
at last.
right,
And no
stop.
kidding, palm olive softens.
We don't have time for this nonsense.
No.
As opposed to the last 10
Putin's
minutes.
threatening to blow up the world, and he doesn't even make the news today. For goodness sakes.
An officer.
But Palm Olive did twice.
Right.
Yeah.
An officer of the British Transport Police accidentally handcuffed himself to a stair railing at the Exeter Central Railway Station in England. Apparently, he was walking down the steps, and part of his handcuffs caught on the railing and closed shut.
Oh.
Fellow officers took a picture while the man was fumbling with one arm to try and find his keys.
That's Peter Sellers.
It does, you're right. They hashtagged it on Twitter as #CakeFine because apparently every time a UK officer screws up, they have to buy cake for all their colleagues.
Okay, thank you. Pat Duluth East took care of St. Michael Albertville.
How badly?
How bad, Brooke?
It was 5-0 and
5-0.
5-0. So we got a 5-0 and a 7-1 today. Not exactly a nail biter. That's what happens when you seed them rather than slap them together like they used to do.
What's coming up on the ride?
Well, we have Chris Long will be reporting later from the hockey tournament with us. He'll give us some insights. And Steve Ashburner is going to tell us about Derek Rose. He was down in Chicago when they were all together, that whole collection of Bulls. And they're now being called the Timber Bulls around the league after they added Derek Rose to the mix today.
Pretty good Celtics team in town, huh?
Yes, they're pretty good. Although they got a couple of injury problems themselves, so it's a chance to win a game, but you're going to have to play well. And I'm not sure they've had 5 days off, so they should be ready to play anyway.
All right, very good. Thank you. 1500 ESPN is KSTP St. Paul, Minneapolis. It's 30 degrees.